but yeah, it'll be very much like the Prime Minister of New Zealand once said, "Are you ready to receive my limp penis?" That's my favorite audio. "I was about to enjoy a Chinese meal, a succulent Chinese meal. Get your hand off my penis." Yeah. Have you seen this video? Have you seen the video? Yeah. And then
I loved it.
It's such a great video. And oh man. And then just when he's getting pushed in the car, it's like, "Are you ready to and his voice is just so great. "Are you ready to receive my limp penis?" Just goes into the car. Oh my God, it's so funny. All right. Anyway, I wish I could intro the show. Well, I guess I kind of could. I have the power because this. I mean,
is that the intro?
That's kind of the intro. Look, I mean, in the world of relationships and love, there are limp penises and succulent Chinese meals. So we like to introduce both of you to that here on the Is This Love podcast, where we traverse the weird and wonderful world of love and relationships through answering your questions. And I'm pointing at you, even though you can't see it. Your questions, your queries. We are here to provide some insight, some understanding, and a little bit of our own love. I am Francis, aka the other guy, and with me, as always, is Miss Sara Nade. Hello, Sara. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I am just again that bit of audio from that guy has been on my mind for weeks. I'll just be sitting.
It's really good.
Yeah, I'll just be sitting randomly, and I'll just hear him speaking in the back of my head. I'm like, yeah, yes, I am ready to receive it. Whatever your name is. Ooh. But yeah, look, just a heads up though, for those listening for the first time, thank you, A, for listening and downloading the show, but B, also for sending in your questions. We're going to thank you ahead of time because you're like, what am I going to do with my current relationship? My boyfriend loves to scratch my back with a noodle and it doesn't make sense. It's like, well, we have an answer for you at some point or another. Or maybe your girlfriend likes to, poke your nose with her toe and you're like, stop it. I don't understand why you need to do that. Well, it happens. So sometimes I don't know why, but it does. But
I wouldn't like it.
Exactly. See, Sara wouldn't like it, and I wouldn't either. Feet are fine, but feet are okay. I don't have a foot fetish, but feet are fine. So yeah, if any questions you might have, IsThisLovePod@gmail.com. Let us know what you think, and let me know if you'd let me touch your toe with my nose. All right. As we begin, we always start with a question from the world. So, Sara, what do we have as our first query?
Okay, our first one is, I am a woman in my early 30s and my husband is late 30s. Mm-hmm. We have been married 4 years and want children, but I am very ready to have them now, and he seems to want to wait more. We have a house and are more financially stable than all of our friends, most of whom have started having kids. He just keeps wanting to put it off. I don't want to wait until all our friends' kids are older and we're the only ones with little babies. He keeps saying he wants to be more established or secure before we have kids, but is this just an excuse? Is there some other reason men put off having children if they do want them at some point? Is there a way I can more strongly convince him how important this is other than creating an ultimatum? I feel like I've tried talking about it so much already, and he just keeps saying he wants to be in a better position in life. But I feel like we are, and it feels like it'll just never be enough for him.
Wow. Well, wow. All right. Well, Sara, as someone who has mentioned being at some point bearing your own child, what are your thoughts?
Well, that or, non-traditional routes are good too.
Or, well,
right. Bear children, but yeah. Lots of options.
Plucking or plopping children. One of the other.
Having children. Yeah. Raising children is the big part, right?
Right. I guess the making them is the fun part. It's the having to raise them after. The making is still the fun part.
Starting them is the fun part.
Right. The making is the fun part. The getting them out of your system is the hard part.
Growing them and pushing them out, I have, as I understand, is not all daisies.
No.
But
no.
yeah. The raising them is the big step, the big part.
Yeah.
And I haven't experienced this yet where I was like ready to have kids with someone that wasn't ready yet. I haven't gotten to that point yet in my life ever. I mean, I've been pretty ready, but been like, I'm not really with the right person, I think.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to ask that question, right? Like, pre your current boyfriend, were you already like, man, I'm ready to just make or have a kid of some type, right now, like I'm ready for it. But it seems like it was just, you were just waiting for, the right person to be in your life for that. Someone you feel like could be comfortable raising a kid with.
Yeah, there was a point when I really, really did want kids pretty quickly, but I'm glad I didn't. And I knew at the time it really wasn't right at that time. And I just hadn't really put together in my head that this is really not the right person. So I'm glad it didn't happen. But I think, well, this is a tricky one. I'm trying to imagine if I'm in that situation at some point where I'm like, I'm ready to go and you're not. Mm-hmm. I think I would probably, have to have a discussion. I would try to stay away from ultimatums, but you have to think about what you will do if you're not going to have a kid in your time frame. You should come up with a time frame and be able to compromise a little bit, right? I mean, saying like, this needs to happen like tomorrow is a bit much. But
this has to happen yesterday. I should be 6 months pregnant as we speak. What's going on?
If I am not 2 months pregnant tomorrow,
oh my goodness,
we're through.
Wow.
I think that a timeline could be something to discuss and just say, like, this is really important to me. I really want kids. I'm not sure what, we're waiting for, because I know you keep saying that you want to wait, but like, just walk me through what it is that is like the threshold for you. And let's make a plan for how long it's going to take to get there, because I want to speed this up.
Yeah. See, that was what I was thinking. First off, I was thinking, you want to wait till your friends' kids are older, because then they can babysit. What are you talking about? They're the babysitters now. And
perfect.
Yeah. And if they're young enough, I mean, old enough to be, responsible, but young enough where, you don't have to worry about it. You get to, throw them $10 an hour and like be like, all right, kids, I'm out to go party with, my husband now or my wife later. So yeah, I think that's a good idea. As for him waiting and not having to do the ultimatum, Sarah has the right idea. I think set goals. Be like, okay, well, look, it's not an ultimatum; it's a goal. All right, great. So you're waiting for this. What's that? What is it specifically that you're waiting for? And write it down. Right? Like, I'm waiting for the next raise. Great. Then you have something to look. Then you have at least a timeline, as opposed to just like this wavering, ethereal, like, when we're ready. It's like, well, that's vague and not very. You can't do anything with that information. But if you say, okay, look, I'm just waiting for myself. I'm waiting for that promotion. Once I get that promotion, I know I get this, and this. So once I get that, done. And then you, in your mind, be like, okay, goal. Okay, I know how long that'll probably take. He's this now, and he's waiting to do this. Okay, that's like a year, whatever. But at least that gives you an idea of where that timeline is. Mm-hmm. And also share with him, too, again, it's not an ultimatum, but just something that you say, like, look, I don't, my goal in having a child is before, and just say an age, like 40. Aim high so that you can negotiate, right? Or whatever, or maybe even aim low. I don't know. But, but something where you can be like, look, I know that if I get too old, there's risks involved, and there's this and there's that. And I don't really, I don't want that to happen. And does he know that you don't want to have kids that are younger than your friends' kids, that you kind of all want them to kind of grow up together? Maybe that's something he never thought of. It's like, oh, that's a great idea. I want all of our kids to be like, I don't know. I was going to say the Brady Bunch, but that doesn't make sense. One will, and there's Alice, and she's going to clean the house. But no, like, you want them all to be of similar age so that they can all be like the get along gang, which nobody knows about, even though that's something I grew up with as a kid. So that's something that you can at least vocalize. But yeah, you're right. You don't want to do ultimatum. You don't want to guilt him into it, but you do want to let him know that that there's more. And maybe he's not telling you everything. If he keeps pushing it off, because look, when I was, and I still kind of do now, like certain type of commitments freak me out a little bit, and my brain kind of goes like, it's automatic response, like those emails when you're on vacation, that auto response that goes back is, not right now, right? Not right now, right? Because because everything changes the moment that switch is flipped, and that's not a switch you can unflip, right? Right. Once the kid is there, you can't. It's there, right? You both wanted it,
right?
And but for him, it's like, well, maybe not yet. Maybe I can delay, just add the delay button for as long as I possibly can until I can't delay it anymore, right? I was telling Sarah before we started recording, like, I wrote deadlines are great because at least with a deadline, I know I have to get something done. I have a short story I'm writing for an anthology. And I didn't start working on it until that deadline. But if I could, I'd push that deadline forever. Right? If I had that kind of power, I'd just be like, no, this is next week, and just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And I think this is what he's doing. So that's why sitting down, setting those actual goals will hopefully calm him down, and will hopefully also, if there is something more underneath, it'll rise to the surface. But anyway, hopefully any of that makes sense to you, Sarah? Did I make any sense? I hope it made sense.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, I think goals and just discussing a timeline, and bringing up all your really specific reasons for wanting a kid now. And people can want kids conceptually. And then when, push comes to shove, it is a scary and big decision.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's a whole other life we're responsible for. Oh, yeah. Don't make sure the husband doesn't listen to this episode is all I'm saying. That's a whole other financial responsibility. I'm going to just freak the guy out.
Just play Cats in the Cradle over and over again. No, wait, that's not a good song. That's about how, like, the dad doesn't pay attention to the song.
No, what?
Never mind. Isn't there, like, some song that, like, is really nice father-son song?
Cat Stevens does a song that was played in the end of Guardians of the Galaxy. I forgot what it was called, but it's it was a father to son, like, how to raise a son, and hopefully he was able to pass on some good wisdom and good knowledge, and hopefully they'll nice. Find, he'll find love, and he'll be in the same situation and have a son of his own and stuff like that. But for some reason, I can't think of the name, even though it's probably obvious. But yeah. But yeah, not
just like, just play like feel good music about kids, and like podcasts about kids, and like positive podcasts, and play all that subliminally while he's sleeping.
I'm looking this up right now before we move on to the next one. Let's see. Feel good music about having kids. Okay. Let's see. Here are the positive feel good songs about parenthood from the last 20 years, according to the cbc.ca. So it's a Canadian website. So, prepare for some maple syrup. All right. I'll do the top 5 because I don't want to go through like 20 songs. So here are the top 5 songs, of which I guess you should play about the joys of being a parent. The Mother by Brandi Carlile. I've never heard of that song before.
Me neither. Slow
Down by Nicole Nordeman. Again, this is Canadian, so maybe I shouldn't have picked the Canadian website because these are probably all Canadian artists. Wow, I was like, the first one, I'm like, oh my god, none of it makes sense. All right, last one, and then we're gonna move on. 40 song. Okay, here it is. Isn't She Lovely by Stevie Wonder is number 1. It's celebrating the birth of his daughter, Aisha. So that's lovely. All right.
That's nice.
I guess The Mother by Brandy Carlisle is popular because it's also on this Huffington Post article. Beautiful Boy, Darling Boy by John Lennon. Again, another one celebrating the birth of his son. Hope You Dance by Leanne Womack. Blue by Beyonce, featuring, of course, Blue Ivy. I think Blue Ivy's also at the age of like 12, a billionaire. So, you know.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, there's a lot of songs that you can probably find online that you can play in your playlist while you're driving to get some groceries. And it's like, man, you know what I feel like now? Having a kid.
Yeah.
You know how people get cravings? It's like, oh, you know what I could do right now? I could have a child.
Exactly.
Child. Let's make
It could really go for like having a kid for the next 18 years and some French fries.
Yeah. Right. And a chocolate shake. All right. Wow. All right. What do you have next? One that we might be able to actually, because we don't have that whole thing yet, but maybe there's questions here we have a little bit more info on.
Okay. I just found out my ex is getting married. He treated me horribly in our relationship, and as soon as I left, he met this other woman, and they dated only 9 months and are getting married. I feel like they are happy, and she's getting this amazing version of him that I wanted so bad, but he just treated me like a doormat. Why do people treat one partner so bad and then turn around and act wonderfully enough for another that they want to be together forever? Could it mean that there was something about me that he felt warranted that treatment and she is just better somehow?
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough. It's tough not to blame yourself. As a person who automatically blame myself for it, well, just for everything. It doesn't matter what it is, you know. The collapse of the stock market must have been me. I just assume that it's something I did.
You're just looking for bad things in the world to put on your list.
Oh God, yeah. Like, oh man, why didn't I just buy that one stock and be fine? I don't know if when our exes move on, because I don't stay friends with my exes. So I don't know if they move on, if they're happy or not. But I did have an ex-wife who my sister watched like an eagle, like a hawk, for many years, and she was happy. And as far as I understand it, she was happy. She had kids. She treated her. She did the one thing that I wanted her to do when we got married that she did with her next husband. She took their last name. You know, yeah, all sorts of things, right? She didn't want to take my last name when we got married. I'm like, okay, that happens. And then she does for the other guy. I'm like, oh, I'm a moron. Like I must be, whatever. And so it's easy to kind of blame yourself. It really is. But much like round pegs and square holes, not everyone fits together properly. And it's not really us, it just happens to be that we weren't the appropriate cog for that hole, or that part for that hole. Like which is very weirdly sexual, but square penises, round vaginas. All right. Anyway, it happens. So maybe it's just that there was a compatibility issue in your relationship. And that's why you guys didn't get along. And that's why he may have treated you badly and may have treated the other person better. Or maybe the other person likes being a doormat too. Like sometimes the other person has no self-respect and prefers to be, submissive, or not even submissive, just be like, yeah, I have no personality other than that of my husband. So maybe that is it too. So, the only thing you can't do is blame yourself. But anyway, Sarah, what about you? What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, that's hard. Especially if someone treated you really badly, to see them in like what looks like a really happy relationship later. Yeah. It's really hard to not jump to that conclusion. I would say that there's just no way to tell how happy they are. They could be just as miserable as you were, but she just won't let go. She's willing to put up with that, and sounds like you weren't, so good for you. Or maybe she's the controlling one. Maybe he's the one getting on that end of it now.
Oh,
who knows?
That's true. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Maybe she's like, you're going to marry me. And he's like, oh boy, I don't really know how to deal with a, very controlling person. I guess I'll just say yes. I don't know.
Right.
That's probably not what's happening, but it's always a possibility. You could tell yourself that's what's happening if it helps you. I've definitely wondered with guys that I've dated, if they're going to find someone they're going to be really happy with, and, why couldn't they give me that good side of them kind of thing? Mm-hmm. I think it's natural to wonder. The only situation I could think of where it was sort of like this, but it didn't really make me feel that bad. It was just a similar situation. Was I was casually dating this guy for a few months, and he just would not commit. And it really was bothering me. We're basically friends with benefits because he wouldn't go any further than that. Mm-hmm. And finally, I was just I don't enjoy any part of this, not even the benefits, because I'm not getting the emotional connection, which is what, the reason I do relationships and stuff. So I called him and was like, so let's just not be the friends with benefits anymore. Mm-hmm. Let's just be the friends without benefits. And he was like, oh, can we still talk and hang out? And I thought about it for me. I was like, actually, let's be the kind of friends who don't talk or see each other.
Wait, what do you call?
Yeah, maybe we'll run into each other and that'll be interesting, but let's not plan anything. And then immediately after that, he was on Facebook with his new girlfriend, touting her around. And this was after he told me he didn't want a girlfriend. He couldn't have a girlfriend because he was so hurt from his last relationship. So immediately he had a new girlfriend. But then he kept messaging me all the time and calling me. And
wait, where was this from the last episode where we were talking about the lady who only people who had who can only attract men who are married or with other people, and they just constantly.
Well, he wasn't.
But he was with. He had a girlfriend
married.
Though.
No, he was totally single. He got the girlfriend as soon as we stopped being friends with benefits.
But then he started contacting you afterwards, a lot. Is that what you?
Yeah, I don't know what that was about. I wonder if he was I don't think he was trying to show off that he started dating someone, but it almost felt like that. I don't think he was doing it to be mean or rub it in or anything. It was just very strange. But fortunately, I didn't care because I was definitely over him.
It was just, look what I can do.
Yeah. Well, look, I did find someone who was good enough to be my girlfriend. I was like, great. Good luck to her. And that's hopefully what you can, hopefully what you can say, question asker, is good luck to her.
Yeah. Again, yeah, it's it's really tough to know whether or not people are actually happy or not when we only have social media to kind of go by. I'll see. As a matter of fact, I've seen several Instagram people I know where they're showing off how happy they are with their significant other, and then they disappear for 3 months and be like, oh, by the way, I was miserable and I hated every moment of my life. And it was the worst. Oh, I'm sorry. I've been gone for so long. Hi, everyone. It's oh, see, you never really know the truth. You just know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but don't blame yourself. That's the last thing you need to do is blame yourself. But also don't neglect self-reflection because, it doesn't hurt at the very least.
Yeah. I mean, you could look back at it and be like, well, maybe I shouldn't have told him he was super dumb every second of every day that we were together.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, if you look back and you're thinking, I maybe wasn't the best partner myself, there's nothing wrong with doing a little growth during your single time.
Yeah, you have to be okay with being critical of ourselves. I know we want to kind of bolster each other up, and we live in a world right now where it's really about being positive, trying to be positive all the time, but you can't be because negative exists in the world, and maybe you're not. Maybe there's something that you can change in yourself to be better because we're not. Very few people are at their 100% best of all time ever. As a matter of fact, I can't think anyone really is. There's always room to improve. So just look inside and look at yourself and see if there's anything you need to at least reflect on. All right. What else? What's our last question we have for tonight?
Okay. My boyfriend only showers once a week, if that.
Ooh, all right.
I know. He smells so bad, I don't want to be near him or touch his body, so I avoid sex when he's in the mood, unless it's one of the rare times he has washed. I've tried telling him he should shower more and it's healthy to be hygienic, but he just shrugs it off. I don't want to hurt his feelings by telling him I am turned off by his smell and his dirty body, but I am not sure how else to get him to take this seriously. What can I do?
Have you been around sneaky people?
Yes, I don't think I could date one. I mean, I don't think I could date someone who didn't shower.
So I
mean, like, if they just wouldn't, like, if there was no way to convince them to. I'm very sensitive to smells, you know?
So I go to, you've been to conventions. We've all been to conventions. Comic book and pop culture conventions. And
yeah,
I would say, oh my God, 30% of the people who go to these conventions for some reason have extreme body odor for some reason. I don't understand why. It's not like these people are staying, like most of these people have hotels, or they live nearby or something, but everyone has, as far as I can tell, because they were able to afford the ticket into the convention, that they all are affording something in which they are staying in someone's home or staying in a place that potentially has a shower. We don't live in like, a third world country where places don't have showers, right? Even you can go to a gym, there's a shower, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for some reason, 30%, I would say 30%. I think I'm being very generous here. I would say 30%.
Well, they make 100% of the convention smell bad.
They do. That's not Sarah is 100% spot on this. But so it's obviously a choice. People make the choice. Now, I don't know why. Have you ever seen online, and I haven't, but maybe you've been to parts of the internet and I haven't. Have you seen like a movement not to be as hygienic? Because this isn't the first story I've heard where people aren't showering regularly.
Well, okay. First of all, I do want to say that there are pretty rare conditions, but sometimes you do smell, I think, like no matter how much you shower, but then you have to look into that. So
I have a story for that one, but yeah, go on.
That wouldn't make up the numbers of what it takes to like make the whole convention smell bad. So, or like if you go to like certain tabletop gaming stores I've been to and I just cannot walk in. I think that there's like
wait, hold on. Are we saying nerd smell?
I'm just saying certain hobbies seem to
attract this type of person.
Attract people who also are not having showers as a hobby.
Showering as a hobby. I like it. Showering as a hobby.
I don't know.
No, I let's stick with showering as a hobby. I really like that. That's really fun.
Okay, so for some people, showering is not a preferred hobby, but you just have to do it. Like, I think when I think about, I feel like it's a lot of people who enjoy lots of games that take up a lot of time, right? You're very invested in video games or tabletop games. And I think of people who like stay up really late and like kind of at the last second, like roll out of bed because they were up till like 2 or 3 a.m. playing their games. And they just don't leave any time for a shower, is my guess. That's my guess. Because I'm like, it seems to like coincide with people who like have a late night life, like of playing games.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Especially in the dawn of online gaming, there were so many articles in so many newspapers and magazines where like, man plays World of Warcraft for 40 days straight and found dead in a sea of nacho chips and bags of popcorn. And I'm like, oh, God. Right? Like, you see those stories. Those stories existed. You can look it up. Those things existed where people just spent their entire lives obsessed with the game. And that makes sense. They're made to be addictive. They are kind of a drug. But
yeah, they are addicting is what I understand.
They are. As a person who kind of calls himself a gamer, I mean, I play video games, though not very often. There were times if I was into a game where I would stay up fairly late, not unreasonably late, but late enough to where I'm like, okay, I know I can get 6 hours of sleep before work. All right, done. Right. But when I should be getting more than that, obviously, but I'm like, oh, I can do it. I can do it. Yeah. Oh, well, maybe 5. Okay, 5 is enough. I can survive on 5. Right. And see, we do that, right? Like as gamers, we do that for sure. But I showered. I took a shower.
And that's
afterwards.
priorities, right?
Yeah.
You were like, I gotta have as much sleep as possible, but I'm also prioritizing showering. And I'm sure most gamers do. I'm sure most gamers stay up late, or who stay up late, get the absolute maximum sleep that they can, and then also leave that extra 10 minutes.
Nerds, geeks out there who are, lamenting on why they're single. Just saying. Just saying, if you're wondering like, man, I am single all the time. I'm making faces. Just figure, like, come on.
Yeah,
hygiene
do
is
the
important.
armpit test.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if you're in your funk long enough, you become numb to it and you don't smell it anymore. That's the
Ask your mom.
Right. Well, and look, we're not saying you all live with your mother, but if you happen to be around anyone else, just ask them. Hopefully they'll be straightforward with you and tell you whether or not you are. Now, this was a tip I got from a very, I would say, hygienic friend of mine who said that body washes are horrible when it comes to making you smell good. If you want to smell good, bars of soap apparently is the way to go. I don't know if that's true, but according to this rather hygienic friend of mine, that was their, that as someone who, and they were someone who appreciates a good smell, was saying, look, I don't like being around people. I can tell when someone has been body washing versus bar of soap, and says that there is, that there is a smell, and it's a not a very good smell. So. But let me quickly tell this story. I did know someone who, no matter how often they showered, and trust me, they were asked to, and even witnessed showering quite a few times, for some reason their body emitted a very body odor smell. Like, it was strong. Like, you couldn't be near this guy. Now, he was also incredibly built and incredibly handsome. So girls didn't mind, apparently, because he got a lot of women to
breathe through their mouth
and lay in bed with him and have all sorts of canoodling going on. So they were perfectly fine with the scent, even though I remember the smell just being like, okay, I'm going to stay about this is a pre 6 foot rule, but like, I'm going to stay 6 feet away from you because you smell awful.
God.
It was rough. Like it was rough. And if he's in the car with you, it like emanates everywhere. Luckily it doesn't stick to anything, but boy, oh boy, the guy just naturally just wafted a scent, no matter how hard they bathed. And,
that would be so hard.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it must have been to some degree, but again, he was a good-looking guy, so
he's very lucky.
Yeah.
I think most people who have that problem are probably just your average person and don't get that benefit.
Yeah, no, he was very fortunate to have to be fit and good-looking and just like all of these things. But it's, and again, he was a nice person and nice to be around as an individual, but you just had that smell. So, how to convince your boyfriend to smell shower? Now, apparently, I wouldn't do this normally, but it seems to be that sex isn't a motivator, which normally is a motivator for men. It's like, oh, you want to have sex with me? Okay, fine. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to shower anyway. I'm going to stay smelly. Right? Like, that's not because he must notice that you're not in the mood to.
It's only when he hasn't showered.
Yeah.
I don't know. He could be kind of dense.
He could be.
Well, and like you said, you don't necessarily know that you smell.
That's true.
Which is why we say, if you live at home, ask your family. And if you live with roommates, ask a roommate. Because you got to find out.
Yeah. Someone will know whether or not someone will tell you the truth at some point. But
she doesn't want to because, I mean, she doesn't want to, he's not asking her why she's not having sex these different times. He's just, I don't know. He just keeps asking, and sometimes she says yes, rarely, and maybe he can't put the puzzle pieces together. But I think that, yeah, it's hard. You don't really want to tell someone that they're gross in any way.
Here's how you can get into the shower more, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one, Sarah. Here's how to get in the shower more.
Okay.
Shower with him.
Oh, there you go.
Would you think that?
Let's go take a shower.
Yeah, right. Like if you knew, you know, you were going to shower with your partner, you'd be down with that, right? Like that'd be something. Well, yeah. I would, as a dude, I would be down with that. I'm like, yeah, let's go. I'm ready.
I think, yeah.
I'm dirty all the time. If that's the case, like, let's just shower all the time.
I think co-showering is very nice. The problem is my boyfriend likes the water at a normal temperature humans like it, and I like it like lukewarm.
Yeah. I don't know if this made it into the last episode or not, but yeah, we did talk about temperature differences in the shower. That's true. So you might not be necessarily the best barometer for that, but if you both share a love of the same temperature, or maybe look at this. Okay, maybe you don't even have to do like a full-on shower, maybe even kind of like a sponge bath or something, like, you know,
a couple's bath could be nice.
Yeah, like I know you're going to be kind of swimming in it, but you'll be clean afterwards, both of you, so it's not going to really matter too much. But you know, at least that way something is happening to where he's cleaning himself, and then get to the root of why the dude doesn't want to clean himself. Like figure out what that is, because if it's just laziness, you have to somehow turn that into a habit. I guess you could shower with him and then afterwards be like, oh my God, you smell so good. Let's go again. You know, let's go and get in the bed because you smell amazing. Oh my God. I'm nodding.
Showering is so good on you.
I'm nodding furiously at this because I think that's such a motivator, is if you compliment, because that's the other thing, you know, maybe even there's another thing, even if you don't want to go that far, even though, you know, you seem to like to have sex with him because, you know, you seem to, at least by the way that the question is worded, it sounds like it's just that you don't want to. It's just that he smells so bad that you don't want to. So maybe that's the thing, right? Like maybe, you know, instead you just like, turning it into a game like that, right? Turning sex into a game of, especially if he's a gamer. And since, you know, Sarah's, implying that all nerds are smelly.
I absolutely did not say that. It is a small percentage
right?
That do not leave, that prioritize 10 minutes for a shower. That's all I'm saying. Possibly, but gamify it. If you can gamify showering, maybe that's it, you know. Have kind of like a, you know, reward him for that shower by saying, wow, you smell amazing. You know, I'll compliment him the moment he steps out of that shower. Like, I want her to say that more often. Right. Oh, yeah. Or maybe even if you don't want to say it turns you off, when he does shower, be more, I mean, it's a little manipulative, but you're getting him to be more hygienic, which I guess isn't terrible, but like be more affectionate, I guess, because you can be, because he doesn't smell bad. So you can be more affectionate. So be more affectionate during the times, and hopefully he'll connect A to B and be like, oh, when I shower, she can't get her hands off me. Oh. Yeah. Gosh, I really want sex right now. You know what gets her really turned on is when I shower. I'm going to go do that.
Yeah, exactly. and then he just never stops showering, and then you're going to have the opposite problem where he's just in the shower all the time. He never leaves because he loves it so much. It's like, I just smell so great. Oh man. So, I think that's a pretty good, compromise, is, if you're not willing to do the showering with him all the time, or bathing with him all the time, or not even all the time, just as often as possible, then at least, you know, reward
fuss over him a little bit more when he's showered, and like make a point to be like, oh my God, you smell so good. Did you shower?
Yeah. reward for good behavior. Just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Pavlov's dog exists for a reason. That's all I'm saying. It exists for a reason. All right. Every week. Oh, thanks everyone again for participating and showing that off. Your issues and your problems. If you have anything that you need help on in the realm of love and relationships and sex, we'll touch that. We'll touch that subject too. We'll put that square peg in that round hole as often as we can. Send us an email at IsThisLovePod@gmail.com. You can also go to the website, sinceresarcasm.net, and leave a comment on the episode that you listen to, and you can let us know there. You can also comment on the Podbean website at Podbean, or isthislove.podbean.com. So there's so many wonderful ways that you can go ahead and get a hold of us, because we want to know how you're doing, what's going on, and if we can help. So go ahead and send us your questions there. All right. Right Cow Left Coast is our number one fan. He's so great to write in pretty much every episode with comments, with thoughts and ideas from our episode. And we have a question that we'd like to answer from him. I see here. Let's see if we can answer something that he brought up.
Okay. He asks, do you subscribe to the point of view of one true pairing? Can someone truly be with another if one is no longer in the one true pairing relationship?
Well, yeah. I mean, I shared an article on, I didn't read up on it too much other than it had kind of a Soulmates vibe to it, but it was a Two Flames, I think it was called.
Twin Flames.
Yeah. Had a Soulmates. Did you read the whole thing or some of it?
Oh, I don't know. I've read a lot of things that talk about twin flames.
Okay, explain twin flames if you have an idea of the twin flame concept.
Oh gosh, they're similar. I don't really understand. I think twin flames is like even more serious than soulmates. Okay. I think it's like, maybe if you think soulmates there can be more than one, then like twin flames definitely only one. I kind of don't understand why there's two terms. Maybe soulmates just isn't serious enough. I don't know.
Well, apparently one specific therapist by the name of Lisa Viejos came up with the term twin flames as two people who have a deep soul connection. In other words, a soulmate. They seem to mirror one another, have shared similar life paths, history, and sometimes trauma, she explained. So these are not just soulmates, but they have very similar upbringings and similar lives, and that's why they're connected, and that's why they found each other.
Got it.
So that makes more sense.
That does. I just hear them all, I hear those terms all over the place, and they seem very interchangeable, but it's nice to know that there's an actual separate definition from the beginning of the word.
Right, yeah. So we have here the one true pairing, which is a play on words on a game, or it's a game that we play on the improv show I do called Super Geeked Up, where we try to pair fictional characters with each other, and we argue on whether or not they should be together based off of like the characteristics of that character and why the other fictional character would find that attractive. As for people, I think what's weird to me, and you've kind of looked into this a little bit more than I have, but I have a funny feeling that more and more people are believing in the soulmate theory, that there are people, the one person meant for them, and that there is one person amongst the 8 billion people in the world that is meant to be with one another. And this is from kind of a cursory view of relationships that I've seen and relationships online, that there seems to be this idea that, it's not just throwing the term, they're my soulmate. Like, they mean it. Like, there's no one else in this world I could possibly be compatible with. Is that something that you've noticed in your, I guess, traversing the internet?
I think it's interesting that people will believe in soulmates. In my opinion, depending on who's talking, it seems like in certain situations, people believe more in soulmates than in other situations. I think that people tend to believe more in soulmates when they're younger.
Yeah.
They've been single a long time. They're in a relationship where they're just not quite sure it's the right one. And then they're kind of like, maybe they're soulmates, maybe there isn't. Or if they think they have found their soulmate. I think people who are happy casually dating don't tend to talk about soulmates a lot. I think people who are happy with their partner and are like, you know, we're not exactly the same person, but we really complement each other well. They don't necessarily talk about like, you know, this is my soulmate. They just are like, I really love this person and I'm happy to be with them for the rest of my life. So I think, first of all, just your beliefs in general, but also what stage in life and dating you are might influence how much you believe in soulmates or how important they are to you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sorry. I thought
there were more. I thought there was more to that. Yeah.
I mean, that's just my observation from hearing people talk about it. It seems like that seems to be like the various situations where people do focus more on the soulmate aspect, where people are less concerned with finding a soulmate or if the person they're with is a soulmate.
Yeah, I think when we were younger, we're much more wide-eyed and we're much more willing to believe in things like I'm not going to say the ridiculous, but we're more open to fantasy than we are reality when we're younger, right? Like,
well, and indoctrinated by Disney and all the other stuff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like, you know, a fairy godmother is going to help one of us out at one point or another, or, you know, whatever. People believe in horoscopes when they're younger more often than when they're older. People believe in tarot card readings and stuff like that, palm readings. At a younger age. I mean, even though older people are the ones that, it seems to be an older person thing, but every person I've talked to who have done palm readings or tarot card readings have been young, like in their 20s. So it's always funny to me that it's considered something that old people do that are out of touch, when the only people I've ever heard doing it personally, anecdotally, are young folk. So, you know, a lot of times we do believe in true love and all that stuff, right? We believe that there's that one person, and it's great because we have time to believe that. We have our whole lives to believe that there's that one person who is meant for us and no one else, and that they're going to be our perfect fit and our perfect match, right? As you get older, you get cynical. And you start believing that people suck. And you start seeing the reality that, you know, some people are selfish and some people are conniving and some people are manipulative and some people are, and so the idea of the soulmate or the twin flames becomes less and less reasonable because you're wiser. I shouldn't say that. Because I have heard of, like, in geriatric homes and things like that, where 80-year-olds and 90-year-olds, I'm like, it took me all my life, but I finally found my soulmate. You know, and it's this person who, you know, is in their 80s or 90s, and that's how, you know, yeah, they're technically near death, or they're closer to death than other people, right? But but they're truly happy and in love with the person that they're with. And it sometimes makes the news because that's something you rarely ever hear. So it's not to say that the idea ever goes away, but it's just, it evolves as we age. So is there one true pairing? I believed it. I believed it when I married my ex-wife. I thought that was it. I'm never going to want to be with anyone else ever again because this is my perfect match. You know, and I believed it up until it wasn't the case. And it's hard. It's a harsh reality for someone who believes in that. And then you have this, you know, harsh, just this drop off where, you know, the words she told me, which haunt me to this day, was, there's no such thing as a happy ending. And yeah, she told me that, I don't know when, but that was with, you know, whatever. But it was from her lips to my ears that she said, there's no such thing as a happy ending. And that's a hard thing to hold on to, or a hard thing to realize, or even just kind of mentally think about if all you've ever believed in is like, no, we're the perfect match. We're meant to be together. This is it. We're the twin flames or the soul mates or whatever. And just to be told, yeah, no, happiness is not a thing. It's like, wow, that's crazy.
Happiness is not a thing.
Happiness is, well, right? That's pretty much what
I don't know that she was necessarily going that far.
Well, yeah. Well, I guess I interpreted it as that, right? Like, well, then happiness isn't a thing. But yeah, it's just a harsh reality. So, if you're young, go for it. There's a lot of young people who believe it still. I mean, I know some younger folk on Twitter through shows and stuff that I've done, and they're with their partner and they're like, this is it. Match made in heaven, soulmates. And I'm like,
well, and the honeymoon phase can feel a lot more like soulmates than like 15 years down the line. It doesn't mean that you're not still a great love match, but
yeah. But yeah, I mean,
and some people do feel like we are 100% soulmates their whole life. It does happen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. There are people that exist that like exactly like that. I'm certain at one point you believed that in one of your relationships. You probably believed it to some degree. No?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would say in the beginnings of some of my relationships, I felt that way. You know, and I think just as I've gotten older, I've come to realize like what you're looking for is a really, really great love match. Because like, let's say me and my boyfriend don't like spend exactly the rest of our lives together and then die together at the same time. Like, is the surviving one or whoever's not with the other one like never supposed to be with someone again because, you know, that one person you were with is gone or you're not together anymore? That seems harsh, like, you know, and not really realistic because people do meet other people after, you know, even the love of their life is gone. It's just, I mean, it's a very rigid, like, worldview, you know, like, there is one, and you better find them, and hopefully they're still alive.
And in the same country, and in the same time zone.
And hopefully they're not with the wrong person and just won't leave them. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
And hopefully they're not some vampire baby that has to grow up into the inappropriate age for you because you're a werewolf that have to sniff them out randomly because you thought it was really the mother you were in love with, but now it was the baby that they... This is Twilight. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully that's not the case. I wasn't really following all of it, but it sounds complicated.
Oh, man. God. Anyway. Oh, holy moly. But yeah. So hopefully that's not the case. And you'll I was listening to the radio show that I was listening to, and they were interviewing the CEO of AshleyMadison.com.
Oh boy.
And who they were jokingly called the most hated man on the internet. And this is his argument. I'm curious what you say about this because this is kind of in the lines of what we're talking about here. You know, so his explanation was people don't cheat because they hate their spouse, because if they did, they'd leave them. They cheat because they want to keep the relationship going. And so they're dissatisfied. They're dissatisfied. I see that look. Mm-hmm. They're dissatisfied. You know, maybe sexually or whatever, but they want to do all these other things with their spouse and partner. But this happens to be this one thing in which they are unsatisfied in, and therefore they cheat in order to ensure that the relationship that they're currently in can survive whatever. Just the look in your face. I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, you're not buying it for at all.
I just think it's ridiculous that he was like, this is the reason people cheat. That may be a reason a very small number of people cheat. I've never heard of someone cheating because they were missing one like sexual act from their relationship. And they were like, I love my spouse so much. I'll just get this from somebody else and that'll save it. I've never heard of anyone that, you know, I know or people that I know
mm-hmm.
that ever happening, but I'm sure that is a reason some people cheat.
Right.
But they could also cheat because they don't want to break up with their spouse, but do want something else. Or maybe they're testing the water, or maybe they do hate their spouse, or maybe they're a different sexual orientation and they're scared. Or maybe a million other things. I mean, just coming up with that crazy, like, one-size-fits-all, ridiculous reason why everyone cheats. And it doesn't even sound like a reason that many people cheat for. Oh, my God. Plus, I'm going to roll my eyes if I hear anything that the Ashley Madison man says.
The Ashley Madison man.
Yeah.
What's funny is I've heard interviews with him before, and it was like, so they asked him, is like, have you ever thought of cheating on your wife? And he's like, no, I'm happily married.
Oh, yes, I will bet. That's 100% true.
Just, who's the messenger here on that one? But I just thought that was funny because I'm like, yeah, if you think you're meant to be with this person, don't listen to this guy. And they're like, well, I'm supposed to be with this person, but there's one thing missing. I better go find it somewhere else. Then then obviously you're not a true pairing or a soulmate if you're gonna go.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably if you're cheating on your significant other, they're not quite close to being your twin flame.
No, that is interesting though. The twin flame we'll have to do an episode on these different types of, because that's interesting. The whole mirror one another, share similar life patterns, history, and trauma, and whatever. Just like you guys are so similar, which again, not everyone is an opposites attract type of people, but it's interesting to be like everything about us is the same. Therefore, we should be together. That's an interesting concept.
That would be kind of tough, I think. Like, I think there needs to be a little, like, just for there to be some interesting, like, even fun tension, like some kind of tension, like there can't, I don't know. I mean,
no, I
just
agree.
Be like being with a friend, like a totally platonic friend. I don't know.
Well, it depends.
Having sex with yourself.
I mean, essentially, I guess yeah. I mean, some people seem to like that though. Like there's some people I see out there where they share every hobby and they share every kind of interest. I feel like that's boring because you don't get introduced to anything new. You don't get like,
yeah, and you don't have anything new to say to each other because you were always there
for everything. I mean, maybe you have a different point of view on it, I guess, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll have to talk to this Lisa Viejos, PhD, LPC, whatever LPC means.
Well, I like her a lot more than the Ashley Madison.
Well. Well, this woman's just trying to help people. The other dude's just trying to make money. So, I mean, he's making money off of people's weaknesses. So, that's just, he's the, you know who Joe Francis is?
I don't.
Joe Francis is hated. I don't know if he's still in jail, but he was one of the most hated people in porn because he was the, Girls Gone Wild guy.
Oh.
So he was the CEO of Girls Gone Wild, and he was hated because he obviously manipulated and took advantage of a bunch of women and girls who were in the wrong place at the wrong time, super drunk or whatever, just totally not in a good place, and just took advantage of it. I put him like I would say they're probably fairly equivalent in they both profiteered off of people's misery and hate, and people hate them for it. And I'm pretty sure the dude, I don't think the guy is I don't think he's like the poster boy anymore for his own website. I think he just puts the testimonials and how much it saved their marriage or whatever.
Blurred out faces.
Yeah. Tom here says that this is the best thing that's ever happened to his marriage.
Yeah, there's no shortage of really crappy people to hate.
Yeah, well,
I mean, like from a distance hate, not like I'm gonna
well, I know what you mean.
Like go after them or write them a bunch of hate mail or anything.
I mean, when you have especially if you think of, because this is all Western society, right? Because kind of Western society all marry each other. That's like 600 million people. I mean, at some point you're going to hate. There's going to be somebody you hate. Amongst 600 million people, you're going to hate somebody. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right. In an effort, I'm going to try to make an effort to not go incrementally longer every episode as we have been doing for a while. We have a couple of articles, but I think I'll save it for the after show. Last thing I'm going to answer is Raikau is asking if he had access. Raikau Left Coast is a Patreon member at iDegree, but it's open to anyone who donates who does even $1 for the Patreon. So anyone who's a patron can get access to these after shows where we again talk about kind of the sillier things. And in this case, we might talk about just to give you a little hint. This is what you're going to be either missing out or joining in on if you decide to be a patron. We're going to talk about a woman who was enticed with marriage if she were able to make 300 sandwiches. She was 300 sandwiches away from the very first time she made 300 sandwiches away from an engagement ring. And then, so you can hear a little bit about that. And secondly, there's a CNN article from fairly recently, from a couple days ago, on whether or not, the article says, is romance dead, or is love dead? And if you read the article, it really isn't about whether or not it's dead, but whether or not it's evolving. And so we'll talk about that, I think, on the Patreon after show. So you can go there to patreon.com/AKA the other guy if you're interested. $1 is all you need to do if you want to get access to any of the bonus episodes and stuff. It's there for you. There's, I think, 6 or 7 of them. I think it's one less than the number of episodes that we're on. I don't think we did one. I think there was one where there was just an episode we didn't do a bonus, but go check it out. Listen and let us know what you think. You can leave comments in the Patreon page itself, and every penny goes to helping make this podcast continue and go on, because it costs money to do podcasts. It's not free, not anymore. They don't let you make it free anymore now that they know it's popular. People love this stuff, so go ahead and do that. And lastly, if you like, please leave a review on any of the podcatchers of your choice, iTunes, or I guess it's called Apple Podcasts now. Leave a 5-star review, Google Play, Spotify, stuff like that. I think you either like it or something. Somebody liked our latest episode on the Podbean, app, and it shows that we have a little like. So if you want to like it too, that helps as well. Every little bit helps. As long as you're doing that, it spreads the word, lets people know that this thing exists, and it allows Sarah to wag her finger at more of those CEOs who are doing bad things. And also, maybe at some point, if we get enough patrons, we'll have one where we'll send out a bar of soap to someone.
Oh God.
I don't know. It's an idea I'll think about, because I think that's kind of funny. We'll call it the love soap. All right. Anyway. Oh, that sounds wrong. Never mind. Well, maybe not. All right. IsThisLovePod at gmail.com. IsThisLovePod at Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And IsThisLovePod. Oh, I said that already, at gmail.com. There you go. SincerSarcasm.net is the website, and at AKA the other guy is me for the Patreon and everything else. So thanks everyone for listening. Sarah, any last minute words before we get out of here?
Love soap.
Soak your suds up with love soap. That's what you can call. Never mind. That's the after hours NC-17 type of suds. Anyway, good night, everyone. Love yourself, love each other, and spray that love all over each other's faces. Bye, everyone.